I could tell you. Oh, well, I guess it must be coming up on 40 years or so. Back before Elise was chief, anyway. It was a heck of a lot harder then. Weren't as many of us to go around, but I think it was a lot easier to tell the good guys from the bad. Well, there's what we're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing. There's a big gap between those two things, about as wide as that lake out there. To protect against all forms of tyranny, as simple as that. 30, 40 years ago, the wasteland was full of despots, slavers, raiders, tough-talking hoodlums with gangs who liked to kick around towns. Back then, the NCR military was still young, couldn't cover much ground. It took groups like ours to tip the balance back to the good guys. Sitting on the shore of Lake Mead, looking east, listening to a radio, trying to not get too many people killed. I'm too old to be slapping leather, but I had hoped for something else. More than this, anyway. There's a lot of answers to that question, but it started with the Ranger Unification Treaty. We weren't always the only show in town. Nevada had its own posse, the Desert Rangers. They fought Caesar even farther east, out in Arizona. Years back, we met with the Desert Rangers at Mojave Outpost and agreed to help them against Caesar if they would join the NCR. Shoot. Adios.
I'm not really much of a historian. The short version is that the Rangers are the elite of the NCR military. Best fighters in the wasteland.
For about 10 years now. Toughest training I've ever done, and was the proudest day of my life when I got my Ranger badge. Did you know that the first battle at Hoover Dam was won because of the Rangers? Legion had the numbers, but we had the skill.
Best of the best. That's all there is to it. Really nothing more to say than that.
Well, when there's trouble regular NCR troops can't handle, they send in a ranger. Problem solved. We're also responsible for keeping the borders of the NCR secure, scouting out threats, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. There was a lot of talk about expelling her from the Rangers, especially once the gambling and drinking started. Being posted here is her second and last chance, and so far, I'm not impressed. Link's jumpy all the time, and the others are sick of it.
Interesting that she would wrangle someone else into sorting out the problem. But I suppose you're in the right place. A lot of intel comes through here. I don't know Technical Sergeant Reyes, but coordinating intel can be messy sometimes. Things get mixed up, people get confused. Heck, I get confused, and I've been doing this for a long time now. What he or she sees as a problem might be standard operating procedure. That's not to say Reyes is wrong for being concerned, but it's easy for the sand to get in your eyes out here. Well, the logical thing to do is to check with the patrol rangers and comm officers. Don't be too discouraged if some things don't match up. Different people see different things, and sometimes the meaning gets twisted, lost in static from person to person. Shoot. This again? All right, what do you want to know? Comm Rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Gulf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Sorting and manipulating intelligence is what I do. It's what Rangers are supposed to do. This job isn't all gunfighting and gulping shots of whiskey, no matter what the boys and ladies out there say. Rangers are volunteers. Every man and woman who signs up is willing to die for the NCR, myself included. A lot of this is my fault. It's only right that I stand with them. Folks around here call me the chief, but handling's just fine. The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand. Mostly administrative work, helping coordinate intel on the radio. That and keeping an eye on the fires growing across the water. It's a simple system when it works. Patrol Rangers radio intel to ranger stations. Comm Rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Gulf. Then I or one of the other Rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field. Comm Rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Gulf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Shoot. I could tell you a lot if you had the time, but at my age, I'm not sure which of us would get tired first. What do you want to know? Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam and Boulder City, but it's a long story. If you want some tall tales about hunting down slavers or busting up gangs, talk to one of the younger Rangers. It's kind of a long one, but all right. About 25 years ago, a group of NCR settlers pushed way south into Baja. I guess it doesn't seem so far now if you look at a map, but back then they were out of ways. They built this little shanty town around a well in the middle of nowhere. Called it Rattletail. Word got back to one of our stations that raiders had been attacking the place. I went out with 6 Rangers. We must have been on the trail for a week before we got to Rattletail. We lost one woman to night stalkers and another almost died of dehydration. When we reached the place, it's 6 shacks set up around an old well. There's over 24 bodies lying in the dunes way outside of town and 5 men with .308 rifles crouched behind sandbags. And these bodies, these people out in the sand, they aren't raiders, aren't even heavily armed. They're just people who were trying to get to the only well in 50 miles. I didn't have to talk to the men to see that they did not care one bit. They had planted an NCR flag over the well, and they would not budge until every last one of them was laid out dead and cold. So I walked up and told them there was a group of raiders coming, 100 strong. I made up some cockamamie name for them and everything. The men looked at each other, looked at us, and asked me what we were going to do about it. I told them we would take them back into NCR territory because we had already lost 10 Rangers on the way out. 10 Rangers, 5 men with .308 rifles. Well, that was enough for them. They packed up what they could, and we took them back north. Last I heard, they settled somewhere in Anza Borrego. Raised bighorners. Had some tough times, but it worked out okay for them. So there you go. That's my one bit of good.
Something on your mind? Used to be they raided northeast of Caliente time to time. But then the Desert Rangers fell apart 10 years ago, absorbed into the NCR. Soon enough, the Whitelegs were swarming all over that stretch of I-15. Folks learned not to head north if they wanted to keep their scalps. Eventually, the Whitelegs destroyed the bridges across the Virgin River over in Arizona. End of discussion.
I'm not sure you should be here. We won't go quietly. The Legion can count on that.